Hello everyone watching at home, you're with Adelaide Eternal, I'm Sarven McLinton, and I'm in the booth here with Jackson the McCall-Pearce.
What's up, everyone?
We are bringing you our second round of the Legacy Challenge. We have on the right, David Bemi, who's on Miracles, and we have on the left, Lachlan Wright. Don't get them confused. Let's duck over to, David. David is in our Hall of Fame. He has got one win on the board with a previous Legacy Challenge, and it looks to me like he wants to win another one.
Yeah, definitely. He's definitely mixed up his deck choice. Last time he was on check pile.
Yeah, that's right. Let's check out his deck.
Yeah.
So he's on Miracles, and this is, I guess, affectionately referred to as New Miracles, right?
Well, Topless Miracles.
Topless
is a bit of a saucy name.
Yeah, you got that right. So basically, actually, you know more about this deck than me. Please tell me about it.
Okay, so pretty much this new age version of Miracles is using some pretty spicy tech like Portent and Predict, and Search for Canter as well, which is pretty interesting. It's just trying to get around not having top anymore.
Yeah, I see that as Canter interaction with the kind of a scry right before you draw, and then you can kind of cast that as a terminus if it was on top, or no, actually, you'd scry it away and then you draw and hope you're drawing the terminus when you're behind or something. Yeah,
it just helps you grind out those really long games. Unexpectedly, Absent's just a really interesting addition.
The interactions with Predict seem good.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, Predict is a very powerful card.
2 mana, draw 2 most of the time, right? In this deck, it seems to be most of the time. I don't very rarely see if they're casting it and not getting the 2-for-1. It means they're so far behind that the Predict didn't even matter anyway. So
yeah, for sure. I guess it's almost like shuffling a permanent into the opponent's deck, definitely. So
yeah, true.
It seems pretty good.
And then Portent is obviously the glue that holds the deck together.
Yeah, no, it's pretty interesting. It's a deck that's definitely, I think a lot of people thought it was dead, and it's just kind of subtly been increasing in the metagame.
Speaking of decks that you think are dead but are actually undead, we have Lachlan Wright on what is essentially the black-red Reanimator shell in the main deck, but he's also got the couple of Bayous in there so that he can cast his sideboard cards. He's got a couple of cool sideboard cards like Ancient Grudge and Reverent Silence, which doesn't need mana, I guess, and Abrupt Decay and so on. But fundamentally, the main deck operates in this kind of turbo Reanimator fashion. So in the past, there's been blue-black Reanimator decks, which had Brainstorm and were able to actually, Daze and so on, and they were able to actually do their combo on turn 2 or 3 and have a Daze backup, something like that. But these decks nowadays, they just want to go turbo, don't they? They want a Dark Ritual turn 1, they want to put a Chrome Mox out, or they want to just do stuff real fast so that their opponent doesn't have a chance to actually interact with them.
Yeah, this deck is just straight up filthy. You can pretty much lose turn 1 against this deck.
Do you think that we might see that?
I think this game's either going to go long or go short. I think if the Reanimator player doesn't get started real early, he's going to have trouble. Terminus is really good against Reanimator creatures. Really good.
Yeah, that seems good. Don't try again, by the way. It's on the bottom of your deck.
Yeah.
Well, let's go down to the match and see how they're going. So I assume they've shuffled up. There's a fist bump for their beginning.
Excellent.
The tradition has, I believe it was coined by you and Bemi, right?
Yeah, I seem to remember you
guys started it, I think.
Yeah.
And suddenly everyone else is doing it. I love it. So they've both drawn 7. Looks like they're having a good long think. Here is Lachlan's hand. Bunch of guys, including... so that was everyone's hands are so fast.
Force of Will.
But that was Force of Will, and that's that's a keep, right?
Yeah. Ooh,
so reveal Chancellor of the Annex if it's
tasty.
in your hand at the beginning of the game. Mm-hmm. And it basically force spikes or dazes whatever their first spell is. So this means that he could possibly go off on turn 1. Oh no, he's on the draw.
Oh, okay.
So
if you're David here, would you just run out of Brainstorm just to counter it, just to have that force ready to go?
I think you just pay 1 for the force.
Oh yeah, because you got the 1 to pay. Yeah.
Yeah. But there's definitely times where you can do that. You just cast a Gataxian Probe or something, and just your lowest value card, and chuck it into the Chancellor. Chancellor eats it up. Nom nom nom. So we have Lachlan fetching out Badlands. Badlands, it is not bad at all. It used to be one of the baddest of the dual lands. Turns out it's quite expensive now because of this deck, right? It needs like 3 or 4 of them, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, I think Black-Red Reanimator definitely started off as almost a bit of a budget legacy deck. Now,
Minute.
Yeah.
It's like Badlands double the price.
Yeah, things like Unmasked suddenly shot up. So
Unmasked, that's right. So we have Faithless Looting, and for those who haven't played it, nice. Pedal. That's what he wants to see, a pedal, right? Like he needs to go off real fast, right? That's his plan. I assume, he needs to discard 2 cards, right? Yeah, he's like, oops, I've got to discard these 2 cards. He's like, obviously I'm discarding my big fatties.
Yep, that's what you want to do, definitely. So that was
Grizzle Dad and the Tide something or other guy who bounces permanents every time he casts spells.
It passes an on over. Okay, all
right. So what's the Tide guy's name? Tide Spout Tyrant. That's what it is. Tide Spout Tyrant. So we have onto David's turn. Every turn that goes past, especially with David on the play, every turn that goes past, it's just makes this game slip away from Lachlan because his deck is meant to be explosive. This is important on your opponent, but one thing that Lachlan can do is try and go off twice in the same turn, and that really puts excess pressure on the number of Force of Wills that David has. Yeah. So portenting an opponent so that he can select cards to be in a certain order is usually quite decent. Not great, but quite decent. But against a deck with Faceless Lootings, it doesn't pull that much weight.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, so he's activating something.
End of turn. This is a nice one. I like that. So he's doing the Entomb at the end of turn so that he can actually just shuffle those 3 cards away.
That seems good.
Yeah, so like if David didn't shuffle, because with Portent, it's like Ponder, you can shuffle the deck instead. If he doesn't shuffle, it means that what you have on top is something he can contend with. Yeah. So you shuffle it, and now you have 3 unknown cards rather than 3 cards that he thinks he can deal with.
Pretty interesting.
So whilst this is card disadvantage, max card disadvantage to those of you at home who are like, Lotus Petal into Entomb, literal like, what is it, 1 for 3 yourself or something, 1 for 2. Yeah, it's really, really bad. 3 for 1. I can't remember which way around you say it. But this is because Lachlan just wants to go off. Like, he's going to go bonkers this turn. Yeah. Right? He wouldn't be doing this if he wasn't going to go bonkers because he wants to keep the Lotus Petal to have a critical turn.
Should be interesting. I think next turn is going to be pretty pivotal. Force of Will, I'm sure Lachlan is expecting Force of Will. Definitely.
It's definitely on his radar.
Yep.
So what do we have here?
Okay, we got the other Badlands.
Double Badlands.
It's pretty bad.
Max bad.
Max bad.
In his deck, it's actually max because there's only 2 Badlands.
Brutality seems good.
Yeah, Collective Brutality pitching all of your big fatties. Like he's kind of like accidentally drawn all 4 of his fatties.
Yes, he has.
All 4 different kinds of... he hasn't drawn Sire. All right, that's another different kind. Okay. And he's got a couple of other Chancellors. So either way, he's escalating it.
Ooh, yep. Okay.
So there is an argument here to countering the enablers. So you counter the things that get creatures into your graveyard so that it makes it a lot harder for them to do stuff. However, Lachlan already has fatties in his graveyard. Yeah. So countering the enabler here isn't that good. In reality, when he reveals his hand, Lachlan's just going to take the Force of Will anyway. So keeping the Snapcaster so you can Snapcast a Portent this turn to try and find another Force of Will is probably the way to go.
Okay, we got a Ponder.
Could he be digging for his land? Trying to find his 3rd land.
Yeah.
I mean, number 1, you're digging for Force of Wills and that kind of stuff because you just need them. Because assuming those last 2 cards, there's just going to be an Exhume or something in there.
Yeah, probably.
He does get land. Obviously, this deck plays a lot of basics.
Yeah. Could be
a counterbalance could have been good there, but the deck only runs 2, right?
Yeah, and counterbalance it's just so funky without top. Like, you just don't know what's there.
Yeah, it's like either a really good card or a really, 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 really bad card.
Yeah, and do you just play the counterbalance and sort of brainstorm in response to things to counter them? Like, it's an interesting
There's an art
deck.
to it. There's an art to it, right?
It looks hard.
Yeah.
Looks harder than I can handle.
Here's the counterbalance.
Okay. that's interesting.
So maybe what he did is off the ponder, he drew a force of will, and then he left the counterbalance on top. He wanted to have the force in hand so that he can actually interact with a possible combo, rather than trying to deploy the counterbalance and then have a force on top, which only counters 5 drops.
Well, it's better than the initial builds of Miracles that were trying to... What were they trying to rock in the first place? I think it was Scroll Rack or something? It was something really clunky.
Oh, that feels so bad, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's like... If it barely sees play in Highlander, it probably can't be played in Legacy.
Yeah, it seems pretty average.
So that was a fetch... was that expedition something or other? Glitter Delta?
Pretty nice.
I don't know what they are. They're all just like some big bunch of art. So Entomb, and he's responding to his own counterbalance trigger.
Okay, so what's his plan here? Brainstorm.
You know, like I don't think you just don't even bother countering the Entomb, right?
Yeah, you just don't care, right?
You don't care. Like, you want to counter this, say, the Faithless Looting, or the... not the Faithless Looting, the Exhume, or the...
Yeah,
something like that. Because imagine if this Entomb is bait, because he's already got, like, 4 dudes in his graveyard, right? You don't need to get any more dudes in the graveyard. He doesn't care.
Unless he just did it to pop a Terminus on top.
Yeah. He could be
he
doing...
doesn't have white mana, though. Sorry.
Yeah. He could be doing it to bluff.
Oh,
right. So, just entombing for the Faceless Looting, because he doesn't need to get any fatties in there. He just wants to find good cards.
That's really interesting.
Keeps 1 card in hand, and then he Faceless Loots and just makes sure that he keeps a Reanimation spell.
Huh. I never thought of that play with Reanimator. It's pretty interesting.
No deep analysis in this deck, I'm afraid.
No.
Another borderline playable Highlander card.
Yeah. So, hey, it used to be good back in the day.
Oh yeah, you got that right. So let's see. Pitch 2 cards that are probably dead. Yeah, land and another fatty. So that last card is either it's like gas and it's that reanimation spell, or it's nothing. Yep. Stone nothing.
Okay. Well, he's got his white source.
Yeah, I think there's only, given that you don't have top, there's only so many ponders, brainstorms, and portents you have.
Yep.
So you have to really, really conserve that brainstorm for to respond to the actual spell that is going to win them the game, which will usually be Entomb or Exhume, which is a 2-drop.
Yeah.
But it can be Reanimate as well, which is a 1. Here is Search for Azcanta.
That's interesting.
So for those who haven't played that before, it is something playable in Modern.
Is that seriously all you have to say?
Yeah. It's there's the counter. There's the counter off the counterbalance. So counterbalance has now netted itself exactly the same as casting counterspell. So it needs to counter 1 more, and then it is stone cold value.
Yeah, chalice for 1 turn. Okay, so we got another ponder. All the ponders.
All the ponders and brainstorms and portents. He's got 11 of them in the deck. Did he Azcanta the upkeep? I missed it whether or not he did.
I don't think he did.
He might have already known what the card was because he had...
it was a ponder. He'd probably want it, right?
Yeah.
So, okay.
There is a Faithless Looting in the graveyard from early on turn 1, so he can still loot again. And he's got 2 cards in hand. So Lachlan's going to be able to make those 2 cards 2 reanimation spells to kind of, one that's a one reanimation spell and one that's a 2.
That's interesting.
Probably wouldn't play the land there, right?
Yeah, no, you'd leave it as
you're gonna loot.
Looting fodder, right?
Yeah, you're going to loot.
I mean, unless he's got something...
But he could have something for 5. Like, he could be working himself up to, like, Dark Ritual, Hardcast, Grizzlebrand the next turn or something like crazy thing. Cool. He doesn't have it, neither in the mana nor the... But are there other things he can hard? No, he can hardcast Siren Insanity in this deck.
Yeah, okay. He's flashbang looting. That's interesting.
It's possible that his last card in hand is a 2-drop reanimation spell anyway, and so he just wanted to be able to do both. But
interesting, they missed the counterbalance trigger. So
I think he pondered last turn, so he knows what the top card is, and so
you reckon he just passed straight away?
Yeah, he just passed priority. I assume.
Yeah.
You got to be pretty
that makes more sense.
Tight with when you're playing Miracles, right? So I just assume he's just memorized what it was on top.
So you know that
And he doesn't want to flip as Cantor because he doesn't want card advantage. He just wants to keep scrying. Is that right?
Yeah, but as Cantor doesn't flip until you mill one, so ponder all day. My goodness.
Yeah, is that like 4 ponder? So quad ponder.
4, yeah.
1 portent, 1 brainstorm. Okay. So there's 2 more portents and 3 more brainstorms in the deck, and after that, counterbalance is going to be just doing it by itself, you know.
Yeah, just blind flips. I've had my stuff counted before from a blind flip.
It never feels good, right? It feels like you've played as tight as you can, and then you're like, oh no. Yeah. But, you know, especially when you go, okay, I'll play around 1 and 0 being the most common. So what I'll do is I'll play my Vendilion click. And they flip Terminus, or not Terminus, Entreat, and you're like, or Mentor. They flip Mentor, and you're like, no, why?
Yeah, it's pretty nasty.
It's a lot of land. So that was that a fetch? Yeah, that was just fetching. So he was fetching to shuffle those cards so that he can keep looking at different things, I guess. 2 mana indicates to me like another. Oh, Snapcaster Mage. Snap Ponder.
Snap Ponder.
I mean, no, Snap Brainstorm, right? Because you got a
Snap Portent.
Oh, because you got a fetch land, so you can Snap Brainstorm. He just really wants to deny, because I guess the 2 Faithless Lootings are gone. So now Lachlan is just literally drawing off the top of his deck.
Yeah.
So I can see why you want to portent your opponent. If they're all put back on top, then it's probably a bad sign, right? Because it means for Lachlan,
double fetch. Okay.
So what does he want to deploy after the double fetch? Does he want to cast like another Ponder or another Search for Azcanta or something like that?
I'm not sure. It's interesting. I honestly haven't played against this deck that much yet. It still feels like it's, you know, finding its feet in Legacy. So
it's predict. Is this a blind predict? Oh no, it's blind. It's predict you. Yes. Ooh. There we go. There it is.
That's a good one.
Nice. So he gets to mill.
That's what.
I love it. Yeah. So portent your opponent, get the best card on top, then predict the best card and draw 2 cards. That feels good.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, David sequenced
solid.
that nicely.
The only thing is if he just blind rips another Reanimator spell.
No, but he's got 2 cards that Bemi knows on top, and he's not afraid of. So he's going 2 modes, and I assume it's to duress you, basically duress you, kind of duress you, and kill your Snapcaster Mage.
Oh, he cancels it.
Yeah, I think you just let it happen because he's going to take your force anyway, and Snapcaster is a 9-turn clock. Like, it's not like Snapcaster is going to win you the game in 9 turns. You're going to be more afraid of 9 possible spells that Lachlan can string together.
Ooh, we've got Azcanta flipping on over.
Yep. All right. So he now has the ability to draw additional cards, and he can also do cool things like reveal off Counterbalance, then activate Azcanta so that he can kind of get rid of the card that he didn't want to get off the Counterbalance, draw off the top of his deck the next turn.
Seems good.
So is this another Faceless Looting? Oh yeah, he had 3. Okay, cool.
3. Okay.
Right.
That's interesting. So he's
strong. Like, he's just going to be able to filter until he finds something good. And then David will have to actually respond. Yeah, I mean, he's got a Counterbalance and he's got an Azcanta. I don't know how many counterspells, actual counterspells, does he play?
Counterspells? So he has
literal counterspells. He plays 2, so yeah, he could activate and find a counterspell. All right. So this was, you saw the 2 things were pitched, right? It was Lotus Petal and Polluted Delta.
Yeah, I think so.
He's either got that like 1 reanimate spell, or the rest of his deck is reanimates, because he hasn't drawn many, has he? He's found like a single reanimate.
Yeah, he's gone through a big chunk of his deck so far. So
that's right. He's due for just this string of reanimate spells.
Just gonna start ripping them off the top, I think.
and in a sequence where it lines up with Counterbalance, you know, like Counterbalance is flipping 1, but he draws the Exhume, and then it flips a 2, and he draws the reanimate.
Ooh.
Okay, all right. So
very nice.
He's got the trigger.
He's got the 1-drop.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did he know that? Because he had No, he predicted last turn, so he didn't know what it was.
He didn't know it. Wow.
It's all right. He still had the ability to activate as Cantor.
Yeah, now he's activating. There's a counter spell he just got, so that's good.
Yeah, I think it's wrapped up. If he has actual counter spell now, gets to untap, goes to his turn, has active as Cantor and counterbalance and a counter spell in his hand, it's game over.
Yeah. Oh, so he picked what was that? Portent?
Yeah, you're just gonna keep portenting Lachlan at that. It feels so bad when your opponent ponders you.
Yeah.
It's like, you know what? I'm not gonna do a good ponder for you. I'm gonna do a bad ponder for you. I'm gonna set it up really badly for you. It's like for some reason you are playing your deck, but you are the CPU and you are playing like on mode where difficulty is like 1 out of 10. And so you're just setting your deck up really badly, shuffling it when there's 3 good cards. You heard it now. You heard it here. Portent is your opponent becomes the CPU.
Yeah, definitely. Portent's like, it's just one of those cards I didn't even know it existed before, you know. Like, oh, okay.
Terminus. Yeah, it's got Terminus in
I guess
hand.
you can hardcast it now.
Yeah, the only thing you'd be afraid of with Terminus is reanimating Grizzlebrand, and Grizzlebrand is in the graveyard, so when he needs to select it, Lachlan can just select Grizzlebrand, and that really nullifies Terminus in hand. So it's a 6-turn clock off that Snapcaster Mage, which is relevant, you know. But still, 6 turns is 6 turns when your deck is full of reanimate spells.
Oh, is that unexpectedly absent?
That is Entreat the Angels.
Oh, that's Entreat, is it?
Yeah, he's revealed off as Cantor, which he can just hardcast for like 1 angel, right? And then swing or 2 angels, and then it'll present lethal next turn. Yeah. So 2 angels will be X's, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. So yeah, then he'll still have counterspell up, right?
Seems good.
So just Entreat for 2 dudes. All right.
Oh, snap.
Oh, he wants the slow clock. Okay. Don't you just keep the snap? Because then you can counterspell, snap, counterspell. Like, you've got it wrapped up if you just keep the snap.
Yeah. You can't really lose.
But you can't lose. You can't lose when you've got counterspell, snap, counterspell, ample mana, counterbalance on the board, and yeah, your opponent can't win. Like, if there was snap in hand, then I wouldn't have suggested the Entreat for 2 dudes play. But I do like just entreating for 2 angels and keeping counterspell up and countering the one thing that they draw. Sure, I guess they could draw 2 reanimate spells, but between counterbalance and counterspell, you should be pretty good. It's okay.
I always found, when Miracles did have a top on, it, Entreat. Nice. So he did have another one.
People forget that hidden mode of Entreat the Angels, which is actually hardcast it from your hand.
Yeah.
But yeah, he brainstormed it back. He snapcast it, brainstormed it back on top.
Okay.
I don't think it changes the clock though. Like, you would have had a faster clock by just entreating that turn, but then you don't have snapcast or counterspell. So
yeah, I
guess it's much of a muchness. He's so far in the driver's seat. It's much. But what you were saying before about counter?
Oh, I was just saying that when you used to have the countertop lock, I always found the best way to get through it was to kind of overwhelm it, and that might be Lachlan's strategy right now.
Definitely.
It's just to go real hard one turn.
What? He didn't even draw any more reanimate spells. He just had more dudes. He had some Grizzlebrand and
wow.
Yeah. So if you want to know how to lose against Miracles when you're playing Black Red Reanimator, it's just to get your deck to line up so that all of the reanimate spells on the bottom of your deck.
Yeah, it's not quite shuffle enough. No, I don't know.
when you're being portented, so you're running like the CPU. So yeah, that game was well and truly in David Bemi's hands. Let's have a look at the sideboards. So Lachlan has 2 Unmask, 1 Duress, 2 Extirpate, 2 Ancient Grudge, 2 Reverent Silence, 1 Chancellor of the Annex, 1 Abrupt Decay, 1 Inkwell Leviathan, 1 Ashen Rider, 1 Blazing Archon, 1 Pithing Needle. So, safe to say, the bunch of big creatures don't need to come in, except for Inkwell Leviathan. Oh, no, sorry. I correct myself. Don't even bother bringing Inkwell Leviathan in, because Terminus is a thing. Yeah. So, you don't really need to bring in more fatties.
I think Chancellor...
Okay, he's brought in Reverent Silences because he's noticed that the deck is basically all enchantments, right? It's got it's got Counterbalance and it's got as Cantor, and the Reverent Silence costs 0 mana, right?
And he might be scared of Rest in Peace, perhaps.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see the Reverent Silences pulling overtime in this matchup, especially since it doesn't get countered off Counterbalance unless they flip Jace, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, we saw what he brought in. He's taking out his cards now, so we'll see what gets taken out. But for David, basically he's going to go like real hard on control, right?
Yeah.
Real hard on control. So he'll end up getting 3 Flusterstorm and 2 Surgical Extraction. And you probably don't even bring in Blood Moon. So here we go.
Priest,
he took out a bunch of creatures.
Yeah.
So yeah, Containment Priest definitely, and yeah. So the Containment Priest is 1, Trip Flusterstorm, that's 4, Double Surgical, that's 6. Then he could bring in Disenchant. Oh yeah, so everything went dark. So this is what happens when lighting's on a timer. So yeah, that's what he brings a Mentor.
Interesting.
So
maybe because he just knows that he has to win, like at some point.
Yeah, but Mentor's not a very fast clock in Legacy.
Yeah, well, I guess
Vintage, yeah, but in Legacy, not really.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Basically, you as Miracles, you are most afraid of turn 1 and turn 2. Yep. So you just bring in heaps of turn 1, turn 2 interaction. 3 Flusterstorm, Double Surgical, and Containment Priest.
Seems good.
Yeah. So the rest of his deck, I didn't see what he took out though. So that's another thing. But for argument's sake, if I'm here, I'm taking out Jason Mind Sculptor because you can get an opening hand with 1 Jace in it, and it's basically a mull because it's 0 interaction.
Yeah.
And you have to tap out on turn 4. None of these things you want to do.
Yeah.
So, you can shave, and Containment Priest is a win con. You're better than Jace as a win con in this matchup. You just flash it in turn 2 and just bash.
Yeah, that's true.
And they have to answer it. By the time they've answered it, they're on 4, and then you snap something out and then bash with that. Like it feels pretty good.
What do you think of subbotting out Search for Cantor? Do you think it does a lot in this matchup?
Search for Dirtle Zone.
Yeah, it's a bit slow.
It's pretty dirtily in this matchup, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I can see it being good in matches against, say, Checkpile. Checkpile just can't answer it, right? Unless they him you.
Abrupt Decay.
Oh, sorry. My bad. Yeah, Abrupt Decay definitely answers it.
Yeah. But other than that, there isn't many. And I've cut down to 1 now. So.
Oh, yeah. So Lachlan's hand was, if I remember correctly, a Faceless Looting, a Reanimate, and did you see the other cards? Some lands, which was good.
Yeah, it was a bit fast.
And he had I think he had like a Chancellor of the Annex or something in there.
Ooh.
So David is mulling, and I would highly suggest mulling here because I didn't see his hand, but if it's even slightly sketchy, if for any reason it looks a bit sketch, then you're on the draw. You need a mull. You need to go to either a hand with Force of Will or a hand with some kind of interaction like Surgical.
You could, mull to 3, get Tundra, Terminus, and Brainstorm. Just go for it.
Mull to 3 and get Surgical. Surgical, 1 land, and Snap Custom Age. That's that. I'm good with that.
Oh, that would be nasty, wouldn't it? Surgical's
and you scry land to the top. So yeah, this is a turn 1 Bloodstained Mire, and I can only assume it's going to be either a Lotus Petal or a Chrome Mox or a Dark Ritual, and because he kept 7, so I think it was 7. I think he kept 7, so he's probably kept gas.
Yeah,
because otherwise you just mull to like 6 or 5 until you get a hand with like just go off turn 1 or go off turn 2, because you got to evaluate when you're playing a deck like this. If you think, should I go off or should I play around Force of Will? It's probably not the deck for you.
I think
if you want to think like that, just jam.
I think Black Red Reanimator. Yeah, I agree. I think you just got to go for it because they're not always going to have Force of Will. I mean, he did mulligan to 6, so perhaps he was mulling to Force of Will.
Yeah,
but I don't know. You just got to play the odds. Sometimes you just got to go for it.
That's it. I agree. So he's Faceless Looting Looting Ing? Is that a thing?
Looting Ting?
Yeah.
Ooh,
so he's going to pitch. No. Yeah, 2 fatties. This is great. Nice. Like his hand must be gas now because he's pitched those 2. So he's set up for a really good turn 2.
Okay, so I guess if you were to reanimate Iona against Miracles, what would you name? Probably White for Terminus or
Blue, right?
Blue?
Like I guess so many times you name the thing that it gets removed by, right? So you name White.
Yeah.
But but I would argue that you name blue against miracles if you resolve it like turn 2 or something, let's say. Because it turns off Brainstorm, Ponder, Portent, Search for Azcanter, Counterspell. It turns off all the things that enable their game plan, right?
Yeah, okay.
Whereas if you name the white card... Oh, no, I don't know. Yeah, no, you're right. You're actually right. I think they only have white cards that remove it, right?
Yeah, so I'm looking at the list now, and I'm thinking...
Well, here it is. He's going to name it.
Iona.
Yeah, Iona, Reanimator,
Right.
Iona.
Put your bets down. I'm betting white.
I think I've changed my mind. I agree with you. White is the name.
Right.
Yeah, because looking at his deck, he doesn't have any way to remove
bounce.
it. Yeah, Jace bounce is a thing, but I guess it's 2 turns off, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not great.
This is strong.
This is
what the
how,
deck. Yeah, this is what the deck's meant to do.
This is how Reanimator wins this matchup. Is exactly this.
So, arguably, what did David keep? Because he smelled to Pithing Needle. He's like, ooh, Pithing Needle Scalding Tarn.
Jace just stops everything, right?
Wait, Pithing Needle doesn't name. No, it doesn't name lands. You play Pithing Needle and you just wait for them to respond. They don't respond, and you name Scalding Tarn.
That's so nasty, isn't it?
Yeah.
Gristlebrand.
Oh, yeah. So, like, if David has 0 interaction here, what 6 did he keep? Why didn't he go to 5?
Yeah, I don't know.
I guess he was hinging on the Ponder. Like, he was going, okay, this Ponder is going to find me Surgical Extraction or Force of Will.
Yeah.
So I can see that. Like, Ponder is 3 cards, arguably 4 cards. So, mulling to 6 and keeping a Ponder means you're going to see 10 and on your draw 11 cards to find a piece of interaction. I can see it, but I think I would have gone to 5 and just tried to find something.
I think just there's lots of stuff in his deck that could have avoided this situation, like Force of Will and.
So he had Force, so he must have drawn it just then or something.
Okay, but Surgical is such a blowout in this deck.
Yeah,
like, it's so good.
Yep. 100%.
So I don't know.
There's pretty cool interactions that the deck has where it casts Exhume. And then you go, okay, I Surgical Grizzlebrand. And they're like, okay, I will return Iona. Because it doesn't target, right? There's definitely, like, cool situations where your opponent can get wrecked by not knowing the format.
Yeah. I didn't really think about it, but I guess that's why I run so many fatties, is to, you get out of those situations like that way. So,
yeah. Well, we can ask David to comment what the 6 was that he kept, but it was a 6 with Ponder, and I can see that, seeing 11 cards, trying to find a piece of interaction, but still you're really crossing your fingers they don't go off on turn 1.
Yeah.
If you think about it, you got Force of Will and Surgical. That's 6 cards that interact for 0 mana with a turn 1 win. So mulling to from 7, 6, 5, 4, like that, it's more chances than you get with Bazaar of Baghdad. They have Serum Powder, sure, but that might equate for the 2 extra Surgical. So 6 cards, right? The odds you're probably going to be like 90% to find a 0 mana interaction when you go to like 4. I'm not saying mull a good hand. I'm saying mull marginal hand. If they're marginal, just keep mulling.
Yeah, hinging on a Ponder's probably a little risky.
Turns out like this, but he's on the play. It's both of the 7, so this is going to be a good game. Both of them are on 7. And he's leading off with something, so this could be a Portent target you. He loves the Portent target you. He did that to me.
Yeah,
he did that to me many a time, and then at some point he looked at all my cards and was like, oh, they're not. Oh, this is so good, and he puts them back and he like tried to order them in a way, and I'm like, why don't you just shuffle them, bro? And he's like, oh yeah, I forgot you can shuffle it. Yeah, just go ahead and just shuffle them. Like that's how good the card is, right? You just shuffle. If it's that bad, shuffle.
It is quite good.
It's a slow trip, so slow trips are pretty vulnerable in fast decks, which is why tempo decks can't play Portent.
Yeah.
Not that they really want to in general, but if they needed to get an additional cantrip, they can't really play it. But slow decks like this, a slow trip's fine for them, right? They don't care. So. Anyway, I totally missed the fact that he fetched for Tundra and didn't do anything. What was that about?
I don't know. It's interesting.
He's worried about Manamorphose, double blue, Lotus Petal, land, Manamorphose, double blue, Stifle. Then he counters the stifle, and then he
interesting.
stifles again with a second stifle.
Oh, yeah.
That's what it is. So, playing around the marginal marginal outs that your opponent definitely does not have, but exists in the format. So this is the Entomb.
Again.
So he's doing. Is he doing this on upkeep? Because surely you do it on upkeep, so you make them tap their mana, so they Fluster Storm. If you have to Flizzle Flom, make them Flizzle Flom on their upkeep, so they don't have the mana to Portent you. I'm just going to assume it's on upkeep.
Yeah, unless he has like Pedal and Reanimate.
Yeah, okay. If he's got Pedal, then 100% he could be doing this. Yes,
well,
you are right. Cold shot like that.
Oh.
So this is an all-in play, but if it's Fluster Storm, then it's going to be a sad time. David.
Flizzle Flom?
No. His Brainstorm. This is the Desperation Brainstorm. But he could be setting a Terminus up on top.
Yeah, that'll do it. Oh,
but
no,
if he names White, okay.
Iona, you know what? Iona pulls a lot of work in this matchup.
Love it.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Oh, there's Extraction. Yep.
Yeah, seems good.
Okay, so Reanimate no longer has a target, sadly.
That's real nasty, isn't it? Okay, so Reanimate doesn't do anything.
So the most important part here is you get to see their hand.
Yeah.
You get to write their hand down and know that they have like 2 Reanimate spells or they have Faithless Looting or something. And you get to search their deck and look at all the tech they put in.
Yep, and seeing their hand and then playing something like Counterbalance seems good.
Yeah, yep, love it. The number of times that I've played Surgical in Vintage as a 1 of in your sideboard, 2 of in your sideboard, depending on what colours you're playing, and you Surgical something, you bring the Surgical in, and you use it.
Yep.
Targeting like something that's a 1 of, targeting their Time Walk.
Yep.
For example, it's in the graveyard to preempt any, later on they're going to have a Snapcaster Mage for it or something.
Yep.
But the main reason was just to look at their hand.
Yeah.
You just see their hand at instant speed, and then, it's not an optimal play, but you do it when you need to, because you just go, okay, now I'm clear, go to your turn, and then you play a combo piece, or you play something they can't answer. Play your Jace, like just resolve your Jace.
Yeah. Seems good.
Yeah, there's definitely things you can do with Surgical which are fun. Yeah, it's card disadvantage, sure, but there's reasons you play it. There's reasons why it's a 2 to 3 of in every Legacy sideboard. Right? Is it every Legacy? It's almost every.
Feels like it.
Deck. It's so good.
That Phyrexian mana, just like it doesn't matter that you're not in black.
Yeah, it doesn't matter
at all.
Go ahead, turn 1. Go ahead, try and go off. I've got this protection.
So he's looting.
Yep. So loot, and the Extirpate, I assume, was brought in for when he hits. Let's assume that his opponent. Not saying that his opponent's on Leyline, but imagine you've got a Leyline opponent that plays Leyline, and then you destroy it, and you just exile all their Leylines because they're on 4.
Yeah,
I can see that.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah, so he's just going to Extirpate, probably Surgical Extraction, and just go like, I don't want you to ever be able to have extract me.
Well, there is another Surgical, and he's got Snapcaster Mages, so that's fair. I think.
Yeah,
that's reasonable.
Yep, and he also gets to look at the hand, so he gets to see whether there's
he picked
picks Brainstorm. I think this is is perfectly fine to pick Brainstorm. I think it's good. I can see why he would pick if his last card in hand is Reanimate spell, that you just pick Surgical. But this to me tells me that his last card is not a Reanimate spell, and he's going like, I need to last, right?
Yeah,
I need to last the game.
He's going for a value play, which I think you probably lose mostly against Miracles.
Yeah, true. Even if you revealed their hand and you also discarded a Brainstorm from their hand too, you're still probably going to lose.
Okay, so we've got a Jace, Flizzle Flom. Is that Terminus?
Flizzle Flom's going to do work, right?
Yeah. No. Flusterstorm it's just so good in this matchup because often the Storm count ends up sort of weirdly high. Like, just considering you go like land, pedal, ritual, like Flusterstorm's already just ridiculous at that point.
It's a hard counter, right?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Hard counter that they can't Pyroblast.
Yeah.
Faceless looting. Faceless.
Faceless looting.
Maybe you can alt art that. Just remove their faces.
Well, it makes sense in something like a dredge deck, right? Alright, so... Pedal... Okay.
So this Flusterstorm can do work.
Oh.
Oh, yeah, so he was like, I need to discard. Yeah. Not an Ancestral Recall. Last card in hand. He doesn't jam it into Flusterstorm, right? He just holds it, pass the turn, come back, play it next turn, right?
I think once you see that Flusterstorm, you got to slow roll things like Pedal. So yeah, this is easy. What's that, for 3?
Yeah.
No.
3, I think. Faithless Looting, Lotus Petal.
Yeah, seems good.
So let's for argument's sake, say that Lachlan passes a turn, then goes back to his turn, and then plays Reanimate on his turn.
Yep.
David, depending on what David drew, he would actually have no way to counter it.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
If he drew like a land, then Flusterstorm does not counter it, and Lachlan gets to resolve Reanimate, which is awesome.
Yeah.
However, if David drew, he can't draw Brainstorm because they're gone. I was about to say, you draw Brainstorm and then you up the Flusterstorm count. So he's flashing back Faithless Looting.
Okay.
And surgical counters it as well, even though you pay 3 mana for the flashback. That's brutal. I think this is game over, right? I mean, it was game over when it was Flusterstorm. But
second surgicals, that's rough.
Yeah, as Cantor's going to come out here to ensure that Bemi gets gas constantly.
Gets that third land.
And that should be game. Let's see. If Lachlan can just string together 2... Like, here's his moment. If there's no 1 on top and he gets 2 Reanimates...
Yep.
And just strings Reanimate, that's a thing.
Yep. That's pretty much how he gets out. Yeah. Looting. So you know...
Wow.
It's interesting. I had my doubts about counterbalance, but really he runs such a glut of 1-drops. It's almost like a one-sided Chalice of the Void, which is... would be so amazing, like in Legacy. So, it's done a lot of work tonight. So, all right.
This is the friendly ponder where you show it to them.
Ponder, so land. Okay. Yep.
I think it was land, Thoughtseize.
Oh, seems alright. Seems pretty.
Imagine if you forget that it's your opponent's deck and you look at it. Oh, this is a snap shaft, and you're like, oh, no, I won't shuffle. It's your deck.
Yeah, it's interesting because ponder you always keep the best stuff, but if you're pondering someone else's, you got to get rid of that.
Mm-hmm. So, what's the over under? What's the whole deal with Search for Azcanta in Legacy? Like the only decks that play it are Miracles, and then I've occasionally seen like a check pile deck run it as a 1 or 2 of. I saw that and I was like, I don't know if this is correct, but people are doing it, and I can see how a resilient enchantment that breaks open the Miracles mirror match type of slow game matches. I can see that. But I also know that it's a very, very low impact card. Very low impact. Yeah,
it's interesting. It's just one of those cards that, like, when it first came out, it just didn't look that good. Like, it looked like it could have potential, but a bit, meh. But it's sort of slowly kind of come to its own. Like, it's seeing, it does see play in a lot of other formats, like Modern. I'm not too sure about Standard.
Yeah.
But, I think Highlander definitely has potential.
It's been played in Highlander, but I think it's been recognised that it is one of the weakest cards in some of those decks, and it's usually like the 60th card.
Yeah,
and it's like, oh, this is a bit of glue to hold the deck together. It looks pretty good, but it's pretty low impact in such a high power format.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think people always get a little I don't know what the word is, maybe overexcited about new cards, and they generally try to jam them, and then they work out later it's not as good. I think maybe that's perhaps more true for something like Direfleet, Daredevil, and D&T right now.
Ooh, yeah,
a lot of people are trying
to
jam him, but whether we know he's good enough yet is hard to tell. As Cantor,
the upside's so high, but the downside is also pretty real when you're just in those matches where it's not relevant.
It is tricky. All right, so he's going to land on top.
So the Faithless Looting, he's gone through all the lootings and he's managed to get through them. through all the ones. But there's a Vendilion click on the board, which means that there is a clock. The clock is going to happen. It's going to be able to bash 6 times.
Yeah.
But this is a Reverent Silence. Oh, is this going to 2 for 1?
That's real good.
Oh, man.
Wow.
Assuming that Bemi shaved Jace, then obviously there's that. You can never counter that thing.
Yeah.
But that's nice, man.
Wow.
We thought this game was over, didn't we?
Yep. No.
But in reality, if those 2 unknown cards are nothing,
yep.
Like they're not a Flusterstorm. Not even Flusterstorm is good.
I think that extra land is definitely going to help because he's just going to jam Jace and Fate Seal, right?
Yeah. So if he jams Jace, what he's saying is, I have neither Force of Will nor without a blue card. I mean, and it doesn't have Flusterstorm, doesn't have Containment Priest. This is the opening, right?
Yeah.
But unfortunately, he Fate Sealed,
Yeah.
and it's left on top.
Yeah.
So that will probably, until such time as Jace Fate Seals to the bottom, the game is basically over, right? Once he Fate Seals to the bottom, then the game is on.
Yeah.
There's a chance.
He prays. So issue is David does have 5 lands, so he's only 1 land away from Terminus anyway. So if worse comes to worse, I think Miracles, it's just so strong. Like,
Bemi loves his Fate Seal.
Yeah.
Do you just brainstorm there because... I think I just brainstormed there because you've got Swords to Plowshares Terminus, both of which you don't really want in your hand, and you've got an active fetch.
Well, he Fate Seals then Portents, so I think you do brainstorm there.
Yeah, brainstorm. Make your hand amazing, then portent your opponent.
Because Fate Sealing doesn't seem that good if you're going to portent them.
No.
And your win conditions definitely, the click beats. So, I don't know, it's interesting. All right, so he's got...
It's much of a muchness, but because he's so far ahead.
Yeah.
But I really do think that brainstorming there, make your hand amazing because he already knows 2 cards are not very good at beating Grizzlebrand.
Yeah.
And your hand gets better than you portent them.
Mm.
And then after that, you just portent them, put the worst card on top, then Fate Seal them for the rest of the game.
Yeah. Jace. Such a filthy card. It's just so good. It's just crazy.
Card draw, creature control, deck control, and Wincon in one card.
Wincon's just so miserable as well.
Yeah. The only way that you can not make it a Wincon is because of time, right?
Yeah. The highlight of my legacy life was stifling with Jace. So it's probably only happened once, but still remember. Alright, so we got Predict.
Predicting a polluted Delta.
Okay. That's fine.
Obviously, the rest of the cards were just that bad that the Delta was, that he doesn't even care if he draws a different card. He just, I'm going to give you value by putting your Delta away.
Okay, so he's portented, so he still knows that the top card could potentially be nothing.
I can't believe he hasn't brainstormed by now.
Yeah.
His hand is just not good.
Yeah.
And his opponent is going to die to click anyway.
Yeah.
So just brainstorm. Right?
Alright, we got... Ooh,
Brutality to kill, click, and to discard something.
Whatever. Terminus? Maybe?
Yeah,
I don't even know. That's probably his out, right? His out.
Well, that's the thing,
Jace bounce as well.
Ooh. If Jace had brainstormed, then there could be a counterspell for this, allowing the click to stay around and make a 3-turn clock.
Yep, correct.
Because he's still got, 2 counterspells in the deck, 3 Force of Wills, I think, 2 Flusterstorms, and then he's got a selection of Snapcaster Mages for all of the above. So the odds of him brainstorming into one of those to ensure that his hand is good, pretty high.
Yep.
So double fetch here. What does this mean?
I'm not really sure. Hardcast Force? No,
he's only got
one short for that.
What does that mean?
I don't know. 4 mana?
Snapcaster Mage?
Snapcaster Mage counters?
Yeah, Snapcaster Mage counterspell could work. Yeah, Snapcaster Mage Flizzleflom is probably the play.
Is that enough though?
1, 2, 3. Oh, it's only 3.
Yeah. In response.
Yeah, so he swords his own Snapcaster Mage.
Oh.
And then Flizzleflom. And then put all the copies onto 1, 2, 3, 4.
No, that doesn't. That's really interesting. So 1, 2, 3.
Yeah,
4,
it has to be all 4
3,
onto
all
the
4. So okay.
Yeah. so he has to still lose a Snapcaster Mage. I mean, it's a really costly play.
Yeah,
because he loses 2 fetch lands.
2 for 1, but I guess Lachlan did 2 for 1 himself as well.
Yeah, well, but the main thing is that losing 2 fetch lands is huge, and you can see here that in reality his fate's sealed to the bottom, and this is a live draw for Lachlan. Yep. As much as you think it's over, he can just like reanimate Grizzlebrand. And then he's got this life... No, actually, no. Jace bounces. Yeah. Reanimate Iona. No, Jace bounces. Yeah, that's right. Jace bounces. Yeah. Jace bounces is, terrifying enough as it is. Oh, this is going to be so dirtily now because the clock is gone, and so now he has to win by Jace.
He just drew a counter spell. So. Okay, so you're just going to win by Jace, right?
Yeah. Oh, the old leave on top.
Is that 13?
That's
loyalty?
13.
Yeah, so... Nasty.
Leave on top.
No.
GG's.
There's nothing you can do.
Right, you keep it so that it becomes your deck, and then you maybe go to time. No.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Yeah. Yep, that's it. He's going to die in his upkeep. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for watching. I'm Sarven McLinton, and that was Jackson the McCall-Pearce, and we're Adelaide Eternal.
Cool.